Story time. Hello everyone, I'm Yoo Ji-hye and welcome to In the Newsroom. We hope you enjoyed our first broadcast of the program last week. We have received quite a number of positive feedback from our viewers. Thank you very much for your warm words and support. And to live up to your expectations, we're going to continue to bring you the candid and behind-the-scenes look of what's happening here at the Arirang News Center. Well, right now I'm trying to finalize our running order for the news today. Quite a number of developing stories for the evening news. So while I finish this up, why don't I leave you with a recap of the top stories that made headlines this week, and I'll join you in just a bit with our reporters. It certainly has been an eventful week. We've got this KoreaUS FTA finally. It took effect on March 15th, an ongoing protest in Jeju Island over this construction of a naval base. And we got less than 2 weeks to go until the Nuclear Security Summit. So, right. Lots of stories. But how was your week, guys, by the way?
It's going.
Yeah, it's been a long 2 weeks. So.
We'll start with you, Yusan. We hear that you had a rare one-on-one with a very special expert in nuclear safety and so on. So tell us more about it.
Well, this week I had a chance to meet with Dr. Ellison, who is a renowned U.S. political scientist and a long-time policy advisor to the U.S. government, including the Reagan and Clinton administration. Dr. Ellison, it's a great pleasure to meet you, and thank you for meeting with us for this interview today.
It's a great pleasure for me to be in Korea.
What should be achieved here in Seoul this year, and moving forward after 2014, how can the international community continue the initiative set by President Obama?
But I would say halfway on, we're not quite halfway done. So a huge amount has been accomplished, but a huge amount remains to be done. And I think the Seoul Nuclear Security Summit will be judged by whether it imparts some really new momentum to the accomplishment of the specific requirements that every weapon usable equivalent of highly enriched uranium and plutonium is locked up to a gold standard, and in a way that we can, the rest of us, can believe that it's actually happened.
What brings him here in Seoul?
He's a member of the Eminent Persons Group for President Lee Myung-bak, ahead of the Seoul Nuclear Security Summit, and he was here in town this week to have luncheon with the president and to give a lecture at Yonsei University. So,
just this Wednesday, President Barack Obama said that the door to solve the Iran and nuclear weapons program is shrinking. He said the window is closing down, but he said there's still a chance for Iran to give up their nuclear weapons program. And do you think there are high chance of resolving this issue within the Nuclear Security Summit or afterwards?
In case of the Iranian nuclear program, I doubt that it will be specifically raised at the summit. It's a different case compared to North Korea because the summit is being held here on the Korean Peninsula, so definitely the North Korean issue will be discussed among the six-party member states. The leaders of those countries will be at the summit, with the exception of North Korea. But Iran's case, I think the summit will definitely, prompt the world leaders present at the summit to rethink about how to address and deal with the Iranian nuclear issue. And so I think also we should focus on what we can expect following this whole summit. And again, President Obama's plan will extend to 2014. And so a lot to expect, and lots of anticipation. Anticipation is running high for what the world leaders will agree to in Seoul in 2 weeks' time.
And just maybe out of curiosity or fun, do you know when most of the leaders will be coming to Seoul?
Likely a day or two before the summit begins on the 26th, and I know some are staying for bilateral summits with President Lee Myung-bak. Days after the summit, and so they're expected to stay here at least till the 29th.
No. Well, Nuclear Security Summit wasn't the only issue that got the media spotlight. Of course, the fresh claims by China's territorial claims over Ioedo certainly took quite a spotlight this week. But what's funny is that it came at a time, an escalating tension going on at the island, Jeju Island, that people protesting against this construction, the naval base there. So is it just a consequence? Is the timing-wise? What do you think?
I don't think the two issues are directly involved. If anything, I think we can sort of look at the Ioedo issue connecting it to the North Korean defector issue. I'm very cautious to use the word connect, but I think many experts and academics are wondering why is China, continuing to sort of separate itself from the rest of Asia and putting itself in the spotlight with these issues. But what's going on in Jeju Island, I think it's somewhat different. Yes,
domestic.
we should look at it from a different angle.
So I think the best person to talk to is our reporter Kim Anu. She flew into Jeju Island this morning, so I think
all the way to
she's there
Jeju.
right now. Yeah, all the way to Jeju. Let's give her a call and see how she's doing. Okay. Anu, hi. So you're in Jeju Island. How was your flight? Good, good. So where are you now? Did you get to visit the construction site?
Yeah, Jihae, I just arrived at Ganjeong Village at Jeju Island, and I'm just standing right in front of the gate where the naval base is, and like you can see, can you hear a little bit of commotion going on? Because people are here, not much violent physical clashes going on, but they're just sitting here protesting against the base. And earlier there were some representatives from the Jeju provincial government who came here from the environmental committee, and they are just they're demanding entrance into the gate to make sure that the construction is going on as planned, abiding by the environmental guidelines. But the Navy did not accept their requests. So there are people still sitting here, and we're expecting more civic groups to arrive here, and they're going to announce a letter of petition why they are opposing the base.
Good to know. All right, keep us updated, all right? Okay, take care.
Bye, Hannah.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
See you.
Okay, bye.
Okay, let's now turn our attention to more pleasant news. Let's go to the sports front. All right, Tisan, take it away.
Yeah, just the past Friday, the last final qualification match for the Asia continent were revealed after the draw in Malaysia. Korea is now one step closer to booking its spot in Brazil. In total, 10 Asian countries advanced to the final round of qualifiers for the 2014 FIFA World Cup in Brazil to fight for the 4 automatic and 1 playoff spot allocated to the continent. In the final round draw last Friday, Korea was drawn in Group A with Iran, Uzbekistan, Qatar, and Lebanon. Neighbor and rival Japan is in Group B with Australia, Iraq, Jordan, and Oman. A full year of qualifying matches will kick off on June 3rd. And the road to Brazil won't be that easy for the Korean squad, as the away games will involve some seriously long flights. For the first 2 matches, the Korean team must travel to Qatar and then come back home, all in just 4 days. Minus the hours spent in the air, the Korean squad will only get 1 full day to prepare for their next match against Lebanon.
So what's the most ideal scenario for the Korean team?
The thing is, there's 4.5 slots allocated to Asia. That means 4 teams will automatically go to Brazil if they make it the top 2 in their respective groups. But those making the 3rd place, they have to fight against each other to go to another playoff against the 5th place team in South America, and that would be the worst scenario, because the 5th place in South America could be Uruguay, Chile, or any of those competitive countries that have been soccer has been their sport for life. So we have to make it a top 2 to automatically go and play off in the finals like we did in the past 8 consecutive World Cups.
Right. Well, good luck to Korea. I mean, we'll certainly be rooting here in the studio or somewhere.
Yeah.
But okay, let's move on to one of the highlights of the week. The Korea-US Free Trade Agreement finally entered force on March 15th, and it took us quite a long time to get here. 6 years. Right.
Yeah, 6 years for negotiations, so.
Yeah, a lot of political maneuvers and, like you said, renegotiations as well. So let's look at some of the immediate impact that could have on the consumers like us.
Well, I guess the immediate impacts will be that most of the impacts will be on grocery. The following products will have the tariffs lifted immediately. A famous brand of grape juice from the US will drop from $9 to $5 a liter. A box of 40 cherries will drop to around $7. Almonds will edge down from $23 to $20 a kilogram. And California raisins will now cost $2 per 300 grams. Seasonal customs duties will be imposed on Californian oranges and green grapes as a safeguard for domestic producers. But this will be suspended after the end of the Korean farming season.
How are people reacting to this, both here in Korea and in the
Well,
United
the
States?
people, it's not immediate has affected them. So, I mean, they have high expectations. I mean, we've had FTAs with Chile, the wine, those for wine lovers. I mean, they're expecting, but still it hasn't gone down that much. So, they're expecting more with the US Korea FTA. It is the latest for its trade deal to come into effect. So.
It's certainly opening up a lot of doors for foreign investment here in Korea as well, since we are dealing with one of the largest economy in the world. So, but we certainly hope not only the lower income families can benefit from the Korea-US FTA, but the households in general can also fully benefit from the Korea-US FTA. Well, thanks you guys for this input for this week, and we'll see you back here next week.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
See
thank
guys
you.
later. Bye.
Right now I'm working on a B-roll related to FTA, the KORUS FTA, how the retail prices will drop after the KORUS FTA comes into effect on Thursday. I'm concentrating on 3 industries, which are pharmaceutical, agricultural, and service sector, which I'm mainly focused on the law firms, how the law firms are, what they're doing, how they're taking the KORUS FTA as an opportunity or as risk. Yes, that's what I'm doing.
이번 인터뷰 기대됩니다.
어떻게 이제 대응 인식을 준비하고 있는지.
브랜드 자체를 육성해서 수입산 시장하고 국내 산업을 시장에서 차별화를 통해서
좀 더 위기 의식을 느끼시는 게 있나요?
약한 분야 위주로 경쟁력을 강화하도록 노력하고 있습니다.
For law firms, they're trying to prepare, they're trying to compete against American law firms, but it's unlike agriculture industry who people there, farmers there, they think they're going to collapse. The industry is going to collapse after the FTA. So I really thought that the situation is quite different among the 2 different industries in Korea.
그 복지부하고 많이 상의를 하고 있는데요. 여태까지는 허가하고 특허가 별개였어요. 근데 지금은 조건부가 걸렸어요. 이 퍼센테이지가 제가 보면 한 10% 20%인 줄 알았어요.
All these issues are so intertwined. I think that's why the government is trying, and what he said also is that the government is trying to lower the medicine price. But so I think I think people will be very interested in what kind of changes will be made in their medical expenses after the KORUS FTA.
today we're gonna go interview 3 companies on the upcoming Korea-US Free Trade Agreement. It's gonna go into effect tomorrow, and we want to see whether these companies that we're gonna talk to are actually gonna benefit in the long term and what the long-term strategic value of the Free Trade Agreement is going to be. So we're gonna go up to CBRE. It's an American-based real estate company, and we're gonna see how the free trade agreement with the United States is gonna affect real estate investment and to see what the long-term impact can be. How's it going?
How are you?
Good.
Good.
We're a little early.
What's inside the contents of that is what people look for. Different service lines that we have set up, are able to tackle a lot of different aspects of a company coming into the market. So we try to get everybody involved. They're bringing in new brands, new labels, I should say.
A good interview, yeah, a very good interview, very interesting, and a different viewpoint than most of the other, typical interviews that you see with free trade agreements. How much is the tax before FTA and how much is it after? So if somebody wants to buy a car tomorrow, they will get a cheaper price starting tomorrow.
Right.
Well, so actually here, passenger vehicles, immediate 4%. And then in year 5, it'll be 0%. So that's the Korean company?
Yeah, that imports this product.
Okay. We wanted to go to a small business that focuses on selling American products to foreigners here in Korea.
20 to 30 orders a day now. It's expanding quickly.
And so from what we're hearing right now is that actually in the long run, consumers will see lower prices because this online retailer believes that their wholesalers will reduce their costs and in turn pass that on to their customers.
For the long run, I think it's going to benefit Korea more.
Great, okay.
Right, so Ganjeong, in a half an hour or so you'll be on air. So what's topping the news at this hour?
Well, general FTA things that's been topping the news for a while now, but what's actually caught my interest is actually the story on the protest against naval base construction in Jeju Island. I don't know how we haven't been following that story in depth, so I don't know how it's going, but it seems like there is a bit of a controversy going on down there.
It certainly is. It's a sensitive issue. So it's between the people who are trying to push ahead with this construction and people who wants to terminate this project, right?
Right.
So I think we should call in probably Yeonji, who's been covering the story.
Yeonji's been covering the story, yeah?
For quite some time. So is she around? Yeonji? Oh, there she is. Hi. Right. Some. I know you're busy. Are you working on some stuff? Hi.
So Chia and I have been talking about the naval base construction on Jeju Island, and she tells me that you've been covering this story for a bit, yeah?
Well, actually, I'll be covering why having a naval base on Jeju Island is strategically important. Just putting aside politics and the environmentalist arguments and everything else, I'm going to only focus on the security aspect of having a naval base on Jeju Island, right? So those who support the idea say, China's recent claim to jurisdiction over this island called Ioedo, actually it's a submerged rock south of Jeju Island. So this has sparked questions about South Korea's maritime capabilities, right? Are we really strong enough to respond to China's possible military attack, should tension occur? And they say, having a naval base on Jeju Island is the answer to this kind of territorial dispute, right? So, this kind of has helped the pro side, saying, okay, this is it. We got to move forward, building up our defense capabilities. But the anti-naval base people say, well, you are overreacting to this claim. China has its own agenda, and it's a diplomatic issue. It's not a military issue. So why do you take this overly reacting to it when the threat is actually not there?
I think it's great that Yeonji is actually focusing on the other side of the protest, because a lot of the media, foreign media as well as local media, they've been covering mostly on the protester side of things, on the activist side of things. And I think it's important to, lay out why in the first place the Korean government wanted to build a Navy base there in the first place, and to actually go over the history of how this has been developing is really key. And what you're doing, actually, I think you're on the right track. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, what we should also understand is that majority of the Korean people, I think the latest polls show that 53% of the Korean people are for the construction of the naval base. So most of the reports are leaving that out somehow. I mean, it's quite catchy. I mean, these island of peace is facing crisis, and Jeju Island is one of the most beautiful places, and we're trying to wreck the place. Right. But I think what we need right now is a fair and more of a balanced coverage on the news, don't you think?
Yeah, I'll do an in-depth research into the issue on your behalf.
Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Ji-hye, I think this is one of those issues where, we have a bit of a difficulty covering, because we have to, all fairness, we have to stay very balanced, being the broadcaster we are. So I'm sure it's a difficult task for Yeonji to cover this story, don't you think?
I think so too. But reporter, we have Kim Han-ul. She's in the defense correspondent, and she is in Jeju Island right now.
Is she?
So up and close and personal, maybe she'll tell us what exactly is going on there, and listen to the voices of the people, not only the protesters, but people who are actually for this construction. So yeah, definitely something to look forward to there.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. How about next week? You got anything up that we should be keeping?
Next week, is that the week before the Nuclear Security Summit?
Exactly.
Oh, honey, we're going to be busy.
I certainly look forward to that as well.
Are you really?
Oh, well, I got a lot of preparation going on. I mean, this week alone, a lot of our correspondents went out there and started doing some expert interviews, and it was great to hear what the Korean Seoul communique will, a lot of the agendas that we're tackling in the Nuclear Security Summit. That was interesting to hear about. And yeah, definitely
a lot of preparation reports and leading up reports coming out next week ahead of the summit. Do you remember G20?
It was hectic.
It was hectic, and I'm sure that this one's going to be, since it's a larger event, this one's going to be just as hectic, and we should hang in there and get through this together.
Teamwork. Okay, well, I'll let you get back to your work.
Yeah, I need to get to my news, so.
All right, I'll see you later.
And you want to make a cup too.